theater. When river spirits wish for tribute, priests bang gongs and beat drums and read from sacred texts. Opposite every temple is a stage, and actors hurry to it because it has the perfect seat for a river god. The mightiest of the river spirits is the Golden Dragon King. He lives in the mouths of the Yellow River and the Imperial Canal. He can make himself into a large dragon or a small snake. He can appear or vanish at will. Tides may rise and flood whole plains, or recede and leave the land barren and dry. One does not challenge the Golden Dragon King. But there is always someone. This man held his power in wealth and did not believe in otherworldly things. With his money, he built a wall 20 men high, for surely such a tall, strong wall could keep the water out. He forbade a temple, and there was no stage. Eventually, the time came when the waters of the Yellow River rose quickly towards the village. The rich man laughed and had his men shoot cannons into the water as it churned. River god or no, there is no match for my might. In response, a fierce storm came to the land, threatening destruction. Angry and desperate, the villagers forced the rich man to the edge of the water. Murmurs became shouts, as many wished to throw the man into the river. For how else were they to appease an enraged river god? Here, a simple storyteller stepped forward. Most excellent Golden Dragon King, perhaps I might offer some humble entertainment. She offered the golden snake version of the river god, a small cushion, and began. Himself with the earnestness and self-denial upon which he entered upon the pursuit of eternal life. He traveled with two magical companions, Chao and Chu. Pilgrims must cross the Tianho River to reach the land of the immortals. The intrepid three walked for weeks over mountains, through valleys, and over deserts. With aching feet, they arrived at the shores of the Tianho River. The setting sun made the waters sparkle as if with heavenly light. The river was so wide that it seemed as endless as an ocean. Sam Chang, though, felt his heart sink as he looked and could find no boats. What was a river without boats? And not only were there no boats, but there were no people. The sandy beach shelter. The evening mist gathered about them, but the beach was still empty. Just as it became pitch black, music floated through the air. The relief was immense as they hurried forward. It seemed a great festival was being observed. People danced and gathered about a certain house. The smell of food wafted to the weary travelers, and following it, they were met by a venerable old man. With considerable courtesy, he invited them into his home for feasting and shelter. "We are not celebrating at all," the old man said with a grave face. "It was a funeral service for 2 of my grandchildren who, though not yet dead, will soon disappear from this life." Curious, Sam Chung asked how such a ceremony could be performed while they were still alive. The old man sighed. "This region is controlled by a cruel and bloodthirsty demon. Because of his bitter hatred, he devours 1 boy and 1 girl from the village as sacrifice. And this year, it is my family's turn to give children." Heavy with sorrow, the man continued, "We perform funeral rites such that my grandchildren's spirits may follow the right path, lest the demon draw them into his powers as they enter the land of shadows." Sam Chung felt deep compassion and indignation for the loss of innocent childhood and the pain in the community. His friends, Chow and Chu, felt as strongly as he. Together, they planned to break the monster's rule. Finally, they asked if they could meet the young boy and girl who were to leave in the morning. Timid, yet standing upright, the 2 children immediately looked at Chow and Chu, riveted by their gaze. A look of amazement came over them as the 2 large spirit men shrank into exact images of themselves. Every detail of their clothing, their toes, their sleep-mussed hair was the same. The children were soon hidden away, and the spirit protectors took their place. Sky showed its first touch of color, the children were escorted to the shore. They entered the temple. The demon immediately appeared. Before he could blink, the children had become the mighty true forms of Chow and Chu. Chow and Chu were ready for battle, with weapons firmly gripped and hearts made strong by the justice of their cause. They stepped forward to challenge the demon. Together, they fought to free the village. In the dim shadows of a temple, a deadly battle ensued. One side steadfast in their honorable quest, and the other base and evil. Furious at being tricked, the demon shrieked, a harsh and terrible sound. He charged. Chow and Chu jumped high into the open air and came down behind the demon, almost catching him by surprise. The demon was too quick. The clash of weapons and groans and cries, unfamiliar to the human ear, echoed throughout. Slowly but surely, the demon realized he could not win this fight. He fled with a maddening cry, sinking into the river and going to the cavernous depths of his dwelling. There was great rejoicing in the village. It was as if the demon's curse immediately lifted. Much singing and dancing carried leads into the night. Deep in the cold water, the demon planned his revenge. As quickly as the celebrations came, they had to stop. sudden, strange, terrible cold wind came to the land. It blew snow and sleet down upon the village. It was so desperately cold that the Tien Ho stopped flowing and froze into stillness. Overjoyed, Sam Chung rushed across the river towards the land of the immortals, but as suddenly as it had started, the cold wind ceased and the snowdrifts melted. The ice began to crack. The demon had lured them onto the ice, and before they could run, it fully caved beneath them. Only Chow managed to escape and used all his power to fly to the goddess of mercy, but Sam Chung was captured and doomed to execution the next morning. It seemed an unfair fate for a man who had done nothing but pursue immortal kindness. Before dawn, a hurricane blasted through the waters, causing the river to flee in every direction. A blinding, brilliant light seemed to burn the demons as they ran. Only one remained. The great demon would have escaped if not for an invisible force binding him where he stood. There, in the light, was the goddess of mercy, her train of fairies and Chow hovering about her. She freed Sam Chung and cast the demon into her dungeons, where all who hate are imprisoned, until their hearts may be changed by some noble sentiment of compassion. The hurricane stilled and left. The lights died out. The voices of fairies faded into the night. The waters of the river returned to their course, and the goddess returned to the kingdom of Western Heaven. What do you think, Golden Dragon King? Does that story please you? As the story ended, the Golden Dragon King lifted his head high and grew into a great dragon. He was a fearsome beast with glittering eyes, and the villagers stopped breathing at the water's edge as it continued to churn. Slowly, the tide receded. The great dragon bowed, then misted into the water, and silence fell.